Morning everybody, it's Gareth here from Design Pit, and today is the 10th edition of the Monday Morning Commute. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic sent in by Karen Nichols, chartered marketeer in the Midlands. She's asked me to make a comment on what professional services I feel are essential when setting up a business. So here we go. In the current climate, with people out of work, people in work but not a lot to do, people on furlough, the whole pandemic situation's blown business, into a completely new stratosphere. We don't really know what's going to happen with the economy going forward. But one thing we can probably be fairly certain of is, unfortunately, there's going to be people losing their jobs over the coming months. So when that happens, what you tend to find is a lot of people take redundancy packages and they use that cash to set up on their own and start working for themselves. So when that happens, there are considerations on support that you need to get, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. Top tip number one, find yourself a great accountant. If you're anything like me and you're really good at what you do, but your numbers are lacking, or you've got no experience or knowledge of what the financing business is all about, you need someone that will take you and guide you and hold your hand through the minefield of finance. Remember that turnover's vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is king. You need someone there who's going to support you with the financials in your business, because no cash, no business. Top tip number two, you need to get your marketing sorted. So you need a power team of people in the marketing and comms arena. You need a graphic designer to set your brand identity up. You need a marketing consultant to get your strategy for how you're going to get yourself out there in place. You need a web developer to give you a digital presence. There's lots of people who can support you in this sphere, as well as copywriters, photographers. They're all out there on LinkedIn. So get yourself out there, make friends with these sorts of people and get to know them. Work out who fits best with you. Check out their portfolio. If you like what you see, chances are they'll do a good job for you. So that's top tip number two. Top tip number three, HR. If you're a business that's likely to take on staff in the very early days of your journey, you need to make sure you've got things like handbooks, contracts, and you're okay conducting the interview process. Also, if you need to exit people from the business, and the chances are you will at some point, then you need someone there to hold your hand. So a HR person is key. There's loads of consultants out there. Find one, get to know them, make sure you like what they say, how they work, how they operate, and look to bring them on board to support you on your journey. Top tip number four, insurance. Get yourself a good insurance broker. When I first set up in my business, I actually didn't really understand the whole concept of business insurance, didn't think I really needed any. When I sat down and had a good one-to-one with a insurance broker that I'd got to know, he looked at me in sheer horror when I told him that I didn't have any cover in place. And then he went in to tell me some of the complete and utter horror shows that he'd come across in his career, convinced me there and then that I needed to get some cover in place. It's not expensive when you're a new startup. Your cover's not going to be too expensive. It may increase when your premium may increase when you grow, but it's absolutely priceless should you need to make a claim. So that's top tip number four. Top tip number five, get your IT right. You need a good IT company to help guide you, get the best quality kit for your business. You need to make sure you've got everything backed up in the cloud. You need to make sure you've got the right sort of kit to run the right sort of software that's going to streamline your day. You also need to think about your telecoms. So that might be the same company that does your computers. It might be a separate company. But your IT and telecoms is definitely a big consideration, especially when we're working at home. Some people might be working at home and at an office. Some people might be still exclusively in the office. But either way, you need to get your IT kit on point. Top tip number six, get yourself a good solicitor. The reason I say this is that early on in your journey, it's well worth looking at getting some terms and conditions of business drafted. A solicitor will help you with this. A good lawyer with a specialism in commercial law. It's really important that you get your framework for your transactions drafted into this sort of document. It protects you and it protects your customers, and it will make sure that you deliver on what you say you're going to deliver, and it will make them pay when they say they're going to pay. So that is top tip number 6. top tip number 7, get yourself a great professional networking group. There are tons of these things online, and there's usually a figurehead who runs the group or is an area leader for a particular organisation. But when you set up in your business, you may have a lot of industry contacts, but you need to cast your net a lot further than just within your industry. You need to start building a network of your own and not relying on contacts from previous sort of stages of your career. So get yourself a great professional network, and you really want to try to be attending events weekly in the early days. So the more you network, the more your name gets out there, the wider that net is cast. So that is top tip number 7. Top tip number 8, get yourself a business coach. Now, this might be something that happens a little further down the line than when you first initially set up, but there will come a day when you're sat at your desk and you're looking at your leads coming in, the customers that you're managing and servicing, you've got your cash flow in front of you, you've got goals of targets that you want to try and get into. You'll be sitting there and you'll be looking at it and you'll be thinking, how do I get to the next level? What is it going to take to get me from here to there? Now, sometimes you can work this out yourself, and you probably will have gone through this process a few times already, but there will come a point where you just hit a bit of a brick wall with it and you need some support. You need to bounce off someone, and business coaches are great for that. It's really, really important, though, that you make your selection very carefully when choosing your business coach, because you need to make sure that they've got experience that's relevant to you and your industry. You've got to make sure that you get on well with them, because it's a really personal relationship. If you've not got a good sort of friendship as well as a working relationship, the whole thing's doomed to fail from the start. So make sure you get a coach that really relates to you, really understands your business, and you feel adds value. And that is top tip number 8. So there you go. There are my top 8 tips for the professional services that you need to get in place when setting up your own business. If you are thinking about going solo in the next few weeks or months, best of luck. It is an exciting time. Embrace the challenge with everything that you've got, because it really is very rewarding if you can make a success of it. Think about these things that I've spoken about in this video, because they are important things to consider at some point. Some might be initially and straight away, some might be 6 months in, some might be 12 months and beyond, but at some point all of these things will become very important to you in your business on your journey. So if you've got any comments that you'd like to make, please drop them below this post. If you've got any topics you'd like covered in the Monday Morning Commute going forward, please drop me an email at gareth@designpit.co.uk. Or drop me an inbox on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.